Hello and welcome to Backstage, where we chat about the latest in the worlds of film and TV. I'm Claire Gregory, and I'm joined this week by Sky's arts and entertainment reporters Bethany, Minelle and Jayson Mansaray. Hello, and we're going to start off this week with the return of a show that we very much loved first time round. It's the Lazarus Project.
We're stuck in an infinite time loop of 3 weeks. The world will keep being destroyed for, in theory, infinity.
For God's sake, George.
Sorry.
Rebel believes that someone has invented a true time machine.
The tunnels form a high-velocity track so that the subject can reach the right speed.
I mean, it's Back to the Future.
I haven't seen it.
My mum's seen it. She hasn't seen anything.
This stars Paapa Essiedu from I May Destroy You, Caroline Quentin from Men Behaving Badly, and plenty of others. It's a really strong cast, and it's a sci-fi. The second series finds them stuck in a time loop, trying to save the world. But if you don't like sci-fi, don't let that put you off, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say this is kind of like time travel for sci-fi phobics like me. It's actually got a bit of heart. It's about more than just the time travel, although that's kind of interesting, and they push it further in this season.
I think what's really interesting about it as well is that you get to fall in love with the characters. You get to get your heart broken with the characters. You get to laugh with them, but then because of the premise of the film, and it all repeats again, you also get to get heartbroken when you laugh with them or something like that. You get to live so many moments and different realizations of the characters, which I think is incredible writing. And obviously, Paapa Essiedu's performance is incredible, absolutely carries it.
And there's something very cool about this show. It's
so cool.
Great music, great writing. It's it's sci-fi with a bit of an edge. And you, Bethany, caught up with Paapa and Caroline.
Yeah, I did. They were great fun. You can say they literally pop off of the screen. They were bright, they were fun. And Caroline made me feel so much better when she said she cannot even remember what happened yesterday, let alone like a year ago. But yeah, this is what they had to say.
I struggle to remember what I did yesterday in real life. So trying to find my way through the backwards and forwards of the script was very challenging for me. Fortuitously, I was working with people who are much cleverer than I am, so I could just go, when is this? What is happening? What have I just done? Have I done that yet?
But yeah, obviously it's a very high concept. It's an ambitious show, you know, and we kind of I think Joe's like very good at not treating his audience or our audience like they're idiots, treating them like they're intelligent, and I think people appreciate that, you know. So I think it's way better to be ambitious than go for the lowest common denominator.
Series 2 of the Lazarus Project is out now on Sky Max and the streaming service Now. On to a series about Hollywood's leading man, Cary Grant. This is Archie.
Thank you so much for coming, man. Just all the prying eyes and everything. Shall we?
Sure.
So, what did in the end? With my charm, my persistence?
Food, mostly. I'm really hungry.
We have food.
So everyone knows who Cary Grant is, but what they might not realise is that actually he was something of a persona invented by Archie, who was the real person behind Cary Grant. And it turns out he had quite a terrible story behind him, and that's why, despite being so well known and so beloved in Hollywood, he actually felt it was never the real him that people knew and was the sort of public face. It's an interesting one, this, isn't it?
You say everyone knows Cary Grant. I don't think we do. I certainly didn't. I was so intrigued to learn a bit more about the real man behind this persona, as you say, Claire. His fake tan, his kind of one-liners, his clever quips, and also just see some of the heartbreak in his family put on screen.
I think that was certainly something I learned. I knew who Cary Grant was. I didn't know that he was called Archibald Leach, for that matter. I didn't know that he turned down Bond, which I thought was very interesting and a good look at how the industry worked at that time and why you might make that decision. But overall, I mean, the storytelling I didn't think was very strong. I did find it a little bit jarring and hammy the way it did the throwbacks. I think this is definitely for a demographic that would know who Cary Grant is, maybe not for myself and my peers.
When I caught up with him, he was telling me about how he managed to kind of dig up these tapes so that he could really hear what the real Cary Grant sounded like.
After a bunch of detective work, I found an interview that looked like a transcript, and I tracked the guy down, and he was the student who'd interviewed Cary Grant in the last year of his life. He'd written to him thinking he might get some written answers, and instead he got an answer back saying, call on Saturday morning, we'll have a chat. And he went to his university radio department to talk to him. And the first thing Cary Grant says when he comes on, he goes, "You're not recording this, are you? I don't want you to." And he goes, well, I was going to, he goes, no, don't. It could go anywhere in the world. I just don't like it. So he signaled to his friend to stop recording. And when they finished the interview an hour later, his mate went, well, I did, obviously. And he'd never played it to anybody in 40 years. And he was very suspicious of me when I got in touch with him. And he out of respect, because he was a huge Cary Grant fan. And I begged him, and he very generously shared it with me. And I just heard, it was the final key that I thought, okay, now I've heard Archie Leach. Now there's someone I understand. It doesn't sound like he does in the film. It's not just accent-wise, but character-wise. There's some irritation, and there's some insecurity, and there's I heard a real man, is what I heard.
Archie is out on ITVX on the 23rd of November. To a very different part of the world now, let's talk about a murder at the end of the world.
I sometimes wonder, would it have been better not to go? I think about it like a coin toss. When their life can go one way or another.
Why is it wherever you go, death follows?
This is something of a kind of whodunit for Gen Z. The main character is played by Emma Corrin. There's something of an amateur sleuth, get invited to a very mysterious and expensive retreat in the middle of nowhere in Iceland, hence the end of the world. Someone dies and they're tasked with figuring out what happened. It's a setup we know and love, but this is a little bit different, isn't it?
Oh, why do I never get invited on private jets to go away for these fantastic things? I mean, yeah, this is the classic Agatha Christie setup. They're in their hunting lodge, it's cold, and they're pretty much snowed in. This is quite clever, and I also adore the fact that our protagonist is a young female, kind of the person you'd normally be seeing as the victim in the whodunit, probably semi-clothed and on the floor. This time she is our Sherlock Holmes, quite literally.
It is interesting what you say there about women. They do make that line, the majority of unnamed dead are women. So I think that's really interesting. Look, this is very cool. It looks amazing. The soundtrack, do you remember Annie Lennox? No More, I Love You. All
Sing
of that.
it, Jayson.
I really wish I hadn't even done that much. And Portishead as well. This is uber cool. Emma Corrin's amazing. I loved it.
And that is it from us on this week's Backstage. If you've liked what you've heard, you can download the full podcast. You can just search for Backstage wherever you usually get your podcasts, or you can scan the QR code, which is on the screen now. Thank you very much to Bethany and to Jayson, and we'll look forward to chatting again very soon.